Hello guys, and welcome back to another video on my channel. In today's video we will be talking about mating motifs. We will start with four of the most basic ones, and which are Anastasia's Mate, the Arabian Mate, Biden's Mate, and the Legal's Mate. So I'm just gonna say that you don't need to remember all these names by heart. There is no need to. I personally don't. But you need to remember the patterns. So if it shows up in your games, you need to be able to spot it. Okay, so we will start with the first one, which is Anastasia's Mate. So in this position, I'm gonna go knight to e3, check, king to h3, and then rook to h5, checkmate. Now this is the pattern that I want you to remember. The knight blocks the king from escaping from these two squares, and the rook, or maybe sometimes the queen, delivers checkmate on an open line. So let's go to another example. So here, knight to e2 check, king h1, and you can see the same pattern. The knight is blocking the king's escape, but the problem is that this line is not open. So I cannot go rook h4 and give checkmate. So here I sacrifice my queen, queen take on h2, king take on h2, and then rook to h4 is checkmate. Okay, so let's go and see the last example. Here again, the same threat. This is the move that you need to remember. Knight to e2, king to h1, and now I have to checkmate along this line. So I have to open it. I start with the queen take on g4, pawn takes, rook to h5 check, pawn takes, and then rook to h4 checkmate. So here white of course should not take the queen, and probably the best thing that he can do is take on d6, and then I just remove my queen, and thanks to the threat of Anastasia's Mate, I managed to win a piece. So now we move to the second mate, which is the Arabian Mate. The Arabian Mate is when you utilize the power of the knight and the rook to checkmate the king on the corner. Here I start with knight to f6 check, king to h8, and now it's clear that I wanna go rook to g8 checkmate, but the line is now open, so I sacrifice my queen. After the pawn takes, this is the pattern that you need to remember. The rook and the knight checkmating on the corner, and the knight is blocking the escape square from h7. Okay, the next example. Here again I wanna go rook take on g8 check, which is going to be checkmate. But the pawn on g6 is blocking, and if I try to just simply take, black is faster and I am checkmated. If I sacrifice my queen after the rook takes and I take, black is faster again. So here actually the winning move is to go g7. Now after rook takes, I'm gonna take on f7, rook takes, and this is checkmate. And if black takes with the other rook, I'm just gonna take on h7, and this is again checkmate. Now to the third and the last example. Now here the winning move is to take the knight on f3. Now the point is that if white takes on f3, I'm gonna go knight to d4 check. If white blocks, then I'm gonna take on f3 with check, king to h1, I'm gonna check on d1. After he blocks, this is checkmate. And if white simply goes king to h1, now after I take on f3, there is nothing that white can do against the threat of rook to h2 checkmate. For example, he can give a check after I move. Yeah, if he makes any move, then this is checkmate. But he can again block on g2 here, and after I check, he has to go back, and this is checkmate. Okay, now we move to the third example, which is Biden's Mate. So Biden's Mate is when you use the power of two bishops in order to checkmate the opposing king. And it usually involves a sacrifice, which you should remember, either on c6, c3, f3 or f6. Here I'm gonna sacrifice my queen. After black takes, now bishop capture is checkmate. Here again you can see that the dark squared bishop is cutting the black king along its diagonal, and this is checkmate. Now to the second example. Here again the light squared bishop is cutting the white king, and I wanna go bishop to a3 checkmate. So I first sacrifice my queen to c3, and now I am threatening checkmate, and after white takes, bishop to a3 is checkmate. Now to the third and last example. Again same pattern here, and I wanna take on a3. So first I start by sacrificing my knight, after bishop takes, rook capture on c3, pawn captures, and now bishop capture on a3 is checkmate. Now we go to the last mate which I want to show you, which is Ligon's mate. So this is actually a famous position which starts after e4, e5, knight f3, knight c6, bishop c4, d6, knight c3, bishop to g4, h3, and now black makes a huge mistake, which is bishop to h5. Now this one actually highlights a very important principle, which is that even though sometimes a piece is pinned, in some special cases it can move, and in this one the knight is not pinned, and I can go knight capture on e5. Now the point is that if black takes my queen, I'm gonna take on f7, king to e7, and knight to d5 is checkmate. So in this position I will win simply a pawn. Black should not, of course, take the queen. After knight capture on e5, I take the bishop, knight capture on c4, and now queen to b5 check, c6, and now I retrieve my piece, and I managed to win a pawn. Okay guys, I hope you enjoyed this video, and thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, and I will see you in the next video.